All right. So let me tell you all just exactly how we are flowing today as it relates to the agenda. You all will notice that we have already accomplished the devotion and prayer. I'm going to give you all COVID-19 updates as it relates to our online and in-person gatherings. We're going to talk about a major focus, which is going to be our building virtual community. I'm going to let you all know a shift that we've made internally with just the names and how we define our teams and our volunteers during this time, where we're shifting the name from community leaders to everyone who is helping us in whatever capacity. Everyone will now be considered the core team. Also, I want to talk to you all about a couple of opportunities that have been presented to us at the outlet. The first one being Churches That Heal, which is from Dr. Henry Cloud. For those of you who are familiar with Dr. Henry Cloud's work of Boundaries, you will definitely enjoy the program that is coming, and it really should say August, not June. We'll start the implementation in June, but it'll take us to August to roll it out to the church at large. And also something that I'm really excited about, the Outlet Leadership Institute, which is coming. It should have been soon, but they put the cat out the bag, fall 2020. I'm gonna tell you all fall 2020, but to the church, we'll say coming soon, because there are a couple pieces that I'm looking to solidify before we roll it out publicly. And one thing that we're going to do, you'll notice we'll talk about our book for the month, and then making sure that we're communicating. And did you bring it with you? Well, when we get to it, we'll get to it. All right. So let's talk about our COVID-19 updates. All right. So what we've been monitoring, and all of this will be available after this meeting today, and I'll also include the links that I'm looking at, so we're all looking at the same information. I'm monitoring the CDC projections as well as their models. And as of yesterday, May 15th, we have entered into probably the 15-day window that everyone has been talking about, meaning we are looking now at, will this pandemic begin to level off, or will, as the majority of models say, will we see a spike in cases? And so for the next 15 days, we are doing our due diligence to just watch and to look at what's happening. As of 12:56 p.m. on yesterday, the city of Atlanta, their council that they gathered together as it relates to the reopening plan of the city, issued their 119-page report. And I'm not going to act like I read all 119 pages. I did, however, have enough time to read the executive summary and a few pages following that. And so to give you all just an update as it relates to what our plan will be and what we are looking to do, I really love what Mayor Bottoms said. She said, we should move forward deliberatively and incrementally, evaluating the interim results, making adjustments where necessary, and then taking great strides. So Mayor Bottoms said we should move forward deliberatively, incrementally, evaluating the interim results and making adjustments where necessary, and then taking greater strides. So that is what we are going to do as it relates to our in-person gatherings. So there was a question that I received and some phone calls I received on last week saying, when will the outlet reopen? My answer is this: the outlet never closed. In fact, for the last 2.5 months, we have done more outreach in the last 2 months than we did in the last 2 years. So our church is open, our church is alive, our church is healthy, our church is growing. The better question that people are asking is, when are we going to gather in person? And so today, let me tell you all what our time frame is looking like. According to our models, we're definitely ruling out the month of May. We're definitely ruling out the month of June. If I had to give you all an estimation, I'm going to say at the best case earliest that we would begin in-person gathering would be fall 2020. At worst case, we're looking at sometime in 2021, and both of those have the same probability of happening at this time. So this idea that we're waiting or we're just doing things in the interim until things get back to normal, I'm going to ask you all to go through the same process that I've had to go through and accept that if I'm waiting for things to get back to how they used to be, I'm going to be waiting forever. I believe that what our pivot should be during this time is embracing that this is the new normal and find our opportunities in the world that we're in today. So, in-person gatherings, we're going to be monitoring the models. We're going to be monitoring what it means for us as a community. I do want to let you know that we have two options as a church. So our church, by the grace of God, has options as it relates to when we decide to gather in person, how would we do it? As it relates to King Middle School, which is a part of the Atlanta Public Schools, the joy that we have with that is that we have the opportunity to allow Atlanta Public Schools and their resources to initiate a host of the social distancing measures that they're going to have to implement for their school regardless in order for students to come back. So the beauty of King Middle School is that there's an abundance of space. And with that space, it's going to allow us to, when the time is right, to be able to hold in-person gatherings and maintain social distancing measures because they are preparing for close to 1,000 people that they have to give an account for. We on average may, on a great day, hit the 150s, but on average 100 to 150. So as far as in-person gatherings, we're in a good position there. The next place is the Elevator Factory, which is where we have our office space, our meeting locations. It's our mailing address. It's where we tape our current online experiences. With the Elevator Factory, it's a smaller venue, which would mean, based off of our current setup, we would, in a sense, have to provide multiple services in order to accommodate everyone should we decide to begin holding in-person gatherings at the Elevator Factory. I would not bring back children's ministry until we're able to be back in a space such as King Middle School because of the space accommodations that King provides. The Elevator Factory is a more intimate setting, so we'd have to max the Elevator Factory off at a certain amount. And based off of our current size, and again, that doesn't take into account the growth that we've had over the last 2 months, we would look at coming back if everything lines up at what we're looking for with a multiple service option. But all of those things are still at least a couple months away. So we don't want to focus on this in-person gathering portion as much as we want to focus on today. What can we do as a church right now? And so what this means is that our focus has to be on building virtual community. The role of our church and the role of church has shifted. And this is what I'm concerned about when I'm looking at talking to other pastors and other leaders. My concern is that the lessons that we have learned over the last 2 months, I don't believe that the Lord allowed us to experience these lessons and then go backwards. I believe that these lessons allowed us to strategically realign with what God has called us to do as the church, as it shows us in the book of Acts. And we need to embrace what's happening going forward. So what that means is that we need to make sure that we're building virtual community. And so the first idea and the first concept that I want to try out is on May 31st, which is also known as Pentecost Sunday. I want us to try out in-home water baptisms. Now, no, that does not mean I'm coming to your house. at all. I am talking about where families are baptizing members fully clothed inside either their bathtub, their swimming pool. And from Zoom, we are here at our home. And then whoever's being baptized, they are there at their home. And I am walking families, heads of household, through what we call sacerdotal or Christian discipline services. So I am empowering you to do the work of the ministry. And so I believe that we have a great opportunity to, instead of having to wait until, because we haven't seen guidance on swimming pools, we haven't seen guidance on a host of issues. Instead of waiting for when guidance comes, we're going to just say, let's empower homes to do the work of the ministry, which, as you'll see, is the ultimate plan of God, regardless. So May 31st, if you have never been water baptized or your children have never been water baptized and you want them to be water baptized, we are going to have a Zoom virtual water baptism service at the conclusion of our church service. And we are going to watch as families baptize families. And it's just, I believe, an exciting opportunity for the body to do the work. The next thing that I want to present for you all is that in the month of June, we're figuring out e-groups. E-life groups means everywhere life groups everywhere. As we are just figuring out the different dynamics that are needed, the purpose of the Sunday e-group is to encourage you to find time to connect with others beyond Sunday. We have to view church as Netflix and not Blockbuster. We have to be a content distributor. We have to make sure that people are able, no matter when their schedule allows, they're able to access the materials, the teachings, the instructions, and the opportunities that we as the outlet provides. And so on Sunday, the first Sunday of June, we are going to make a shift to doing e-life groups on Sunday based off of geographic locations. As we have been traveling around to see you all, we realize that our church is large. We realize that we are all over. We realize everybody don't come to church every week, because I would have thought we only had a handful. But as we've been driving around the Metro Atlanta area, we realize how many members don't know that there are other members that are in close proximity. And so we need to make sure that during this time, you know who is a part of the outlet around the corner from you. And what it's going to help us to do, if we have to prolong our in-person gatherings, we'll be able to send a text blast out to a particular area and say, we're bringing church to you. We're going to have an outdoor in our cars pop-up church service. And so we're strategically getting our church ready to be as mobile and as connected and as aligned as possible so that we could be agile to continue to pivot during these times. The biggest thing that I'm going to ask is that if you are a head of household, I consider every head of household, and head of household doesn't just mean married head of household, it means unmarried head of household. If you're leading in your home, I look at you today as a life group leader. You're leading a life group. And so it becomes our job to equip you. It becomes our job to give you the tools necessary. So I am going to do whatever we can to give you information to help grow you and build your capacity to lead, because we now need you to step up and be all that God put you on this earth to do, to help us as a church continue to move forward. Did you want that?
No.
Okay. And so you're going to be noticing at the end of today's call, we're going to be reading a book together a month. We'll get that at the end.
Okay.
And as we go through these books, you're going to notice just your ability, your confidence in who God has made you to be increased. We're going back to the model of the early church. Now, Let's keep going. Big thing here, I want you all to notice, we've got to do something great for the class of 2020. And so we're going to do a small recognition on June 7th. But if you are in the class of 2020, please text our church number 770-667-4899, say class of 2020. By doing that, we will know where all of our graduates are to do something special for you. These are unique circumstances. I have a graduate this year, Ashley. She's got her master's this year. And so we want to do something special for the class of 2020. Also, graduating high school seniors, we offer the Paul Brown Achievement Scholarship for graduating high school seniors. And so that scholarship is still available. So if you have a high school senior, in that text, just say, I have a high school senior, and it's a part of just who we are as the Outlet community. In a different setting, we would extend this scholarship to all graduating seniors, but because I'm lowering the requirements this year so that we could be a blessing to our high school seniors, just those who are actual members and partners of the Outlet are eligible for their graduating high school senior to receive this scholarship. I just wanted to make sure that because we're unable to do all of the service projects, et cetera, that are associated with the scholarship, and we're being a blessing to high school seniors, that at least we could limit the number to in-house, because it's just our way of sowing into the future of our students. Yep, so that's it. I talked about that ahead of time. All right, so that's the focus of building virtual community. So again, if you have questions of what we covered already with COVID-19 updates, in-person, online gatherings, write those questions down. If you have questions about building virtual community, write those questions down or type those questions into the online chat. If you're on our online campus or here on Zoom. Sonia, I see your hand, so you know I'm going to come to you because you are our respiratory therapist. So we will definitely be hearing from you today. So now I'm going to shift to volunteer opportunities, because as I've said, our church has not stopped. Let me repeat, our church has not stopped. In fact, because of what we've been doing in the community and our opportunities that we've been taking advantage of so far, people have reached out to our church. And so I just knew it was time for us to galvanize and get together and to have conversations and present opportunities to you to plug in. So let's talk about church. Let's talk about what this looks like. So we have teams, and we used to have teams for our in-person gatherings. We used to have a welcome team for our in-person gatherings. We used to have, care teams who were our ushers and hostesses at in-person gatherings. We used to have cafe resource teams at our in-person gatherings. You name it, we built our teams focused to our Sunday services. Well, since we don't have those, I want to hit pause on our traditional teams and introduce opportunities to continue to serve where we are. So this next page, I want to show you all, and let me know if you all cannot see where it says core teams. I want to show you all a laundry list of ways to serve. And if you are interested in any one, and you text core team to 770-667-4899, we will send back to you a Google form for you to fill out. You're probably like, I've given you my information. I've done all this before. Simultaneously, we're also cleaning our database. We need to know, we need to be accountable to those who are here. And so we don't want to have a messy database where we're unable to pull information at a moment's notice. We want to make sure that we update our rosters. We want to make sure we update our teams. We want to make sure that we give people an opportunity to take breaks and breathers as opposed to constantly and always serving. Let's see, did I blow past one thing? I did. And Ash, make sure at the end I talk about what's coming. on the earth.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So here are the core teams. So we briefly introduced FAM, which is our Family Advocacy Ministry, in February. We were and still are kind of ahead of the curve as it relates to the Family Advocacy Ministry. So, with the coalition of ministries and organizations in our area that are working together for this, they're doing what we did back in February, and it's now May. But what I want to do now is represent FAM to the church. And what this is a group of people or a team of people who receive requests that come in from DFACs sent directly to our church. We've already had one come in, and so we were just blessed to be able to be a blessing to a family inside of our, or really in the community at large.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that every request that comes in, we're going to be able to do everything. But what it does is it gives you a pulse of the needs that are going on in the community. Many of you have asked, how can I be a blessing? How can I serve? Are there any needs? What's happening? Being a part of FAM, you would be getting notifications of different needs. And before we as a church communicate exactly what we're willing to do, you have an opportunity to look and see if it's something that you want to help. If the best you can do is pray, at least you're aware and you can pray for it. And so the Family Advocacy Ministry is a great opportunity to stay connected to the pulse of your community. One thing that they added to us on top of just helping children be in homes forever is the opportunity now to have COVID response, which means if families are impacted by COVID, we are able to also see the needs and to assist there. So it's really a streamline of requests that come in. We're able to now have one area where we all can take a look at all the different things that are coming and be able to make a decision accordingly. The next area that we are going to get ready to rev back up is our street team. So this is the teams that are out helping with the cleanup efforts, helping. One need that is coming up is the ability to deliver food to families who are in need. So we're working with our entire community really has banded together. We all are one team. We've got nonprofits, for-profits, other churches. We are all in Atlanta working together to help Atlanta. And so one area that they asked, is for those who could be delivery drivers to drop off meals on porches. And we had the street team revved up at the beginning of COVID. And by the Spirit of God, he told me when to get us going. And then he also told me when to have the street team pull back. And I'm so grateful that Holy Spirit, he speaks, because listen, I'm not afraid in these streets, y'all. There's no fear whatsoever. Like, COVID does not scare me at all. And I pray that whatever fear that comes from COVID in you, that you say, Lord, I'm greater because of you in me than what the fears that come from COVID. But at the same time, we have to use wisdom. So with no fear, I listen to Holy Spirit, who says there was one street team event that we had been scheduled to do. And Holy Spirit on the way over said, do not go. Well, little did I know there was a pastor who held his church service inside the actual place where we were going to be distributing food. And he had COVID and began showing signs that day. And so we would have exposed our teams to COVID had we just said, oh, we're people of faith and power, but no wisdom. We would have did some crazy things. So we're using wisdom with the street team. But if you're ready to get back out, definitely get ready for the street team. The next one is what we call the outlet at home. And I call it the home team. I don't know why they put online team, but it's called the home team. And what this team is, geared to do, there's multiple lanes with the home team. We've got people who are going to help take our sermons to make them home studies. My goal is to have 52 weeks of messages in a one-sheet PDF form, where if you download them each week over a year, you will have a year study Bible and study materials. So that, let's just say, because with internet access, that's all we're paying for. We're not paying for internet power, internet capability. We're just paying for access. What happens when internet goes down? We can't depend as a church on, okay, let me make sure the internet is going to help me feed the flock. No, the internet is training wheels right now for us to empower families that no matter what happens in this world, our ministry will keep going and our ministry will keep growing. So the home team is the home study curriculum developers. On the home team, it's for those who are interested in leading e-life groups. So right now, while we're practicing social distancing, I know at least in our family, we have a weekly family call. That's a life group. You have friends that you check on. That's a life group. You have, like for us, we have the men's group me. That's a life group. There's so many ways that life group happens, and we're just asking if you're considering it, let us know so we can resource you in doing that. We have on Sundays when we have services, we have online chat hosts. So you'll see people in our online campus, or you'll see people on Facebook or YouTube greeting others and sharing links and answering questions and keeping the conversations going. Listen, all you have to do is be laid up with a cup of coffee or tea, whatever you like, and just text away and greet people. I mean, you know, church is coming to where you are, and those who are on our online prayer team. So we get requests for prayer every single week. And so you would assist us in creating a personal touch for people online. Let's see, let's keep going. Emerging Generations, that is our children's ministry. That's our youth ministry. That's Outlet Kids. We're looking for more leaders to help with content creation. Right now, Lawrence and Japri every week make a lesson for your children, and Andy creates a monthly lesson for the babies. Listen, there only have been 1 to 2 views per week with the content that they are creating on our website. We have more than 1 to 2 children in our church. To me, what that says is our children are not being fed. And y'all, we've got to make sure that, you know, we're not trying to replace all of their entertainment, but we are trying to come alongside and make sure that they are spiritually fed in creative ways. And so I take my hat off to Lawrence, Japri, Andy for taking the initiative to create online content for our children. Right now, you can go and get 7 to 8 lessons, age specific, for your students, and you all can watch it together and have conversations with it together.
As a family.
You know, I know Lawrence's team has partnered with him to help him create videos, and you know, every so often Ash and I will be on there as well, so that we're talking to our teens. Y'all, I'm gonna be real honest and real pastoral right now. I expect tomorrow for us to have an increase of more than 1 to 2 views. That's not acceptable. It's not. And so it's on our website. If you go to our website, theoutletcommunity.com, you'll see a button that says Emerging Generations. Click on that button, and on that one page, you've got content for the babies. You got content for our preschool, elementary students. You have content for our middle and high school students. We can make sure that while we're getting our word, that our students at some time throughout the day, some parents, they let their children sleep in and say, hey, but later on this afternoon, you're going to be watching this. Listen, y'all have to be the pastor for us. And we're just putting that out there because our children, that keeps me up. That's one of the things that keeps me up at night, is how we're taking care of them. And also they have virtual hangouts on Tuesday night at 7. So before we get online at 8, they have a Zoom where they're able to communicate, to connect, to have dialogue, conversation. And that's because we only have 2 volunteers, Lawrence and Japri, doing all of this. So if we get more volunteers, we'll be able to create more opportunities for our children to connect. People always ask me, why aren't we doing this for the kids? Why aren't we doing that for the kids? Did you think about doing this for the kids? A whole bunch of stuff I thought about doing for the kids. Here's the issue. I can't wear volunteers to the nub. So if we get everybody participating, hey, we are going to be able to do great things for our students. The next area is what we call our collective. And so we really have to get into, as a church, making shows, making content, making online services where people can download them for whatever they're looking for. Again, I want you to think of the outlet as Netflix and not Blockbuster. We can't expect people just to show up only at 10 a.m. on Sunday. People's schedules, people could be tired on Sunday and they could just happen to miss 10 a.m. So we want to make sure that we build a library of content that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But here's the key to online church. We've got to get you all on screen. And what I mean by you all is we need you all to see yourselves on screen. So we have links for people who want to record them just reading your favorite scripture and tell us why it's your favorite scripture in a minute or less. We have a link where you could share your outlet story. How has the outlet impacted your life? We want to see you in our outlet online experiences. And so we have opportunities for photography, videography, on-air talent. So those who, for instance, we've had Jay and Marlise come on screen to kind of give you a orientation as to what to expect for service. We've had Camille last week in service, helping to create a welcoming environment to let people know what to expect. We need a host of on-air talent. We need online gathering hosts, I said before, graphics and motion graphics. Everything is visual now. And so it's important. We need content creators to be able to take, for instance, we have a theme this month, and I believe it's going to be our focus for the near future, that as we're building community and we're creating legacy, we're doing so as we all move forward together. So forward together is just kind of our message. And so you all have more creative brains than we do. And so we need those brains employed. We have the digital marketing. We have an event calendar that, there's so many events that go on now. We need someone just dedicated to just the event calendar. Web content management, how we market has shifted and changed. So we're in the process now of completely stripping our website and then uploading content to speak to an online world. Currently, our website is built for in-person gatherings. We have to completely, really starting next week, completely shift that to speak to what can people expect on a daily basis. Sermon upload and distribution. So some people might know, some people may not know. We have the Outlet Community Podcast. It's cool that we currently right now upload, sermons, but we want to upload different conversations, different content, so that when people think of the Outlet Community Podcast, it's just a host of information and relevant information that people want to listen to. Communications. This is the big one. We've got over 500 people in our database. We have only 120 who interact with us regularly. 25%, maybe, 25% interact with us daily. And that's okay. But if 500 people belong to the outlet, then I want to make sure that we're reaching 500 people at the outlet. So we need help with our communications. And then social media. Everybody's living on social media. So making sure that our content stays fresh, there's opportunities there. All right. So core teams, if you have questions on that, I'm rushing because I told y'all 11 and I want to be truthful to my word. All right. Coming soon. This is what I'm excited about. Coming soon, Dr. Henry Cloud, who is the author of Boundaries and a host of other books, his organization reached out to our church and identified the Outlet community as a church that is committed to both mental health and spiritual development. And so he's rolling out a new program where his organization is going to resource our ministry to help people and for us to be a place where when people engage with our programming, they engage with our ministry, engage with our children's area, engage with our church, that underlying all of it is a component that helps people to heal, emotionally by using spiritual principles. And so you can expect that to roll out during our 21 days of prayer in August. But if you are gifted in this particular area, or you are licensed in the area of mental health and psychology, you have that background, and you want to assist us with the implementation of this cultural foundation, this is an opportunity for you. Now, the other thing that we were presented with is the Outlet Leadership Institute. So my wife and I, when we first started the ministry, we always said that we wanted a Bible school. Well, as church has shifted, we need leaders as well as those who are trained spiritually as well. And the Lord began to speak, saying that it's time for you to start your Leadership Institute. I honestly did not know how we were going to start it. And then, just as God always does, he brought individuals to us who are going to give us, and here's the point that we've got to iron out before I go publicly with this. This Outlet Leadership Institute would be an executive leadership certificate program to start. And the credits that you receive through our institute would be able to, just from when we roll out phase one, if you didn't have an associate, you'd be able to get an associate's. If you had an associate's degree, you would get hours towards your bachelor's. The goal for us is to go as high in education as we possibly can. But I did not want to have a school or an institute that was not accredited. I felt like, it's a great idea, but it was a waste of time, because people are like, if I'm going to be a part of something, let it count for something beyond just your church or your ministry. And so, you all see fall 2020. When you see this again, it'll say coming soon. Because again, I've got to make sure that we get what's called an articulation agreement, where they will make sure the accrediting firm that approached us would be able to honor what we are doing. And this program or the accrediting firm is the same accrediting base that has accredited Dale Bronner's School for Leadership and Ministry. It just so happens it's a very small world. Just some people I've done some favors for wanted to do a favor for us. And so they have presented us with this opportunity to begin a Leadership Institute, where we will be committed to our mission. We are building community. We are creating legacy. We are called to empower, equip, develop, and deploy life-giving leaders. Can't think of a better way to do that than through an Outlet Leadership Institute. And just a host of wonderful ideas will come from there. So just wanted to let you all know the Outlet is moving forward, and we are doing so during this time. Finally, it's time for us as a leadership team to come together. It's time for us as a church to grow as leaders. And so we will meet, take this date down. If you are ready to take the next step and you're ready to grow, we're ready to pour, and we're ready for us to grow as a community. The next time we will meet is June 6th at 10 a.m., same time, same back channel. All this information today stays the same for June 6th. And we will begin discussing the first 2 chapters of The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. The reason why we're doing this is so not only are we going to give you all updates about what's going on with the church, but then I want us to break off into breakout rooms and have facilitated conversations and dialogue around these books. So if you're a part of our ministry, let's just say on just the level of, I just want to volunteer in your church, you're going to grow. If you're a person who says that I want to go even further than just the books that we're discussing, we have an Outlet Leadership Institute for you. We are going to develop leaders. That's what God has called us to do. That's why we exist. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And we have the opportunity to do so and create the culture that we want. So our next meeting is on June 6th. And I'll just tell you, for the month of June, it's going to be June 6th and June 27th. Those will be our 2 check-in dates. So all of our check-ins will consolidate to Saturday, June 6th, and then Saturday, June 27th for the month of June. We've got to make sure that with our church scheduling, that we're not just doing stuff to do stuff, but we are being specific with it. All right. So communication, staying up to date. We have got to stay up to date here. So I'm going to ask that if you have a moment, please make sure your Round profile. This is our initial church database. This is the same place that you give tithes and offering. And thank y'all so much for being faithful during this season. We are, I mean, just to be able to be an impact in the community, we can't do it without you. And you all have been doing your best. Thank you. So Realm, it's on realm.org/the-outlet-cc. That's what they call the church code. If you ever go on there, like, what's the church code? The Outlet CC. Again, if you're interested in serving this summer, text core team to 770-667-4899. We'll send a link back where you're able to select the team or teams, plural, that you want to be a part of. And then please, if you're not on our text update list at TOC News to 81010, please get on that. It allows me to shoot information to you directly, and we're able to communicate in a very streamlined manner. So at TOC News to 81010. All right, and then the final part, and then we'll open the floor for questions, and my official all information is done, and I'll go back through each section and answer questions. Final thing is, darn it, that didn't end right. The final thing is, it's just my doodle calendar. Yeah. If you can, please complete our survey at the completion of this meeting. Some of you have already done our at-home survey. It's just making an assessment of the programming and things that we need to adjust while we are having the outlet at home. So please take that survey, and then, you know, we're here to serve you. So people are like, oh, I don't want to bother the pastor. I don't want to, and I'm just going over here, just deal with all this stuff by myself. And
please don't do that.
Don't do that, y'all. So if y'all could see it, my calendar, this is a link that you want to save. You like, when are you free? Look at this link, and this link will tell you when I'm free all the time. I'm putting my calendar on the internet, and you can look at my calendar and you can book your times. They're in hour blocks, and I am here to serve you all. So thank you all for listening to my TED Talk. And we're now going to answer questions. We have a host of questions. Oh, yes, you wanted me to, okay. I need to talk to you all about a conversation that I had with an economist, which then was confirmed in prayer. We have about 60 to 90 days before the stimulus bubble will burst. What that means is that we have to become, and I'm charging all heads of household, we have to become as streamlined as possible in our homes. So I am charging heads of household to eliminate all additional expenditures for at least the next 12 months, beginning in June, July, whenever you can get everything in place. I am charging you to do that. In addition to that, for those who may be skilled with financial peace, please pray and consider leading a financial peace e-group, because the prophetic part now, the shifting part, the part in the spirit is the Lord commissioned me to teach starting in June in a fun series. It'll be themed out Living My Best Life. But in this series, I'm going to talk about the areas that we can control. We cannot control a pandemic and what others do in the midst of a pandemic, but we can control what we can control. And so one thing that is true is that COVID affects people of color differently from those who have the resources. So what does that mean for people of color? That means that, and I got to get on it myself. We need to be in the best physical shape, nutritional shape that we can be. We need to make sure that we're a great steward of all of our resources. For those who have corporations, companies, you're leading, you're a supervisor. You need to go through every expenditure and fine tooth comb it to make sure that you are not wasting any resources for the next 12 months. As a ministry, starting yesterday, we have gone on our annual freeze and we have eliminated every additional purchase or expenditure that is not directly serving the community. The only thing that's getting approved for the next foreseeable future will be things that help us to serve the community. So that's happening here with us. We've got to control what we can control. And then we need to commit to keep each other accountable and to not grow in apathy and grow discouraged during this season and during this time. We can all make it through a tough time if we all band together. So I am commissioning our church to get as streamlined as possible, to get as healthy as possible, and to get a depth in you spiritually to anchor you during this time. We're going to do our part as a church. I'm asking for your assistance in that as well. Okay. Did I do that? All right. So now let's answer questions.